Jacksonville Beach, Florida, February 16, 2022. A quiet suburban evening is about to turn deadly. On a dimly lit road lined with tall pines, a father drives home with his 2-year-old daughter strapped safely in the back seat. It is a routine custody night until a single obstacle stops everything. A single tire lies in the middle of the road. No other cars, no pedestrians, just a carefully placed trap. When 33-year-old Jared Bridegan steps out to move it, gunfire shatters the stillness. His little girl remains in the car unharmed but terrified as the shooter vanishes into the darkness. Within minutes, police and paramedics flood the scene, but the attacker is gone, leaving behind only shell casings, a frightened child, and a question that will haunt investigators for months. Who wanted Jared Bridegan dead, and why? The answer would expose a tangled story of divorce, jealousy, custody battles, and betrayal, and reveal a murder-for-hire plot that reached deep into Jared's past. This is the case of the killing of Jared Bridegan. At Story of Dark Chapter, we're pulling back the curtain on the stories no one else dares to tell. Join us as we explore the grim realities of infamous crimes, uncover the scariest untold mysteries that have baffled investigators and defied logic. If you crave deep dives into sinister events and tales that will challenge your perceptions, hit that subscribe button. The truth is often stranger and far more terrifying than fiction. Jared Galen Bridegan was born on June 29, 1988, in Warrensburg, Missouri, to Gaylord and Joanne Bridegan. He was raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and attended Douglas Anderson School of the Arts. In 2014, he graduated from Utah Valley University with a BS degree in digital media. He worked in various technology and design roles, including at Clean Simple Eats, Web.com, and Microsoft. In April 2010, Bridegan married his first wife in Salt Lake City, Utah. Bridegan and his first wife had 2 children together. In 2015, they divorced. Bridegan married his second wife, Kirsten, a woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, with whom he had 2 children. At that time, Bridegan was a 33-year-old man and lived in St. Augustine, Florida. To understand the ambush that claimed Jared Bridegan's life, investigators had to look far beyond a single night on a quiet Jacksonville road. The story began years earlier, in a marriage that ended badly and a custody battle that never truly ended. Jared met Shanna Gardner in the early 2000s. Both were ambitious and attractive. He, a rising tech professional, she the daughter of a successful business family. They married in 2010 and soon welcomed twin children, a boy and a girl. Friends described their early years as picture perfect. Young parents building a family in sunny Florida, but beneath the smiles, the relationship was strained. By 2015, the marriage had broken down and the couple divorced. The separation left lingering resentments and, more importantly, complex custody arrangements for the twins. Court filings would later show disagreements over visitation schedules, holiday plans, and even day-to-day parenting decisions. Narrator: both eventually moved on. Jared remarried, finding happiness with Kirsten Bridegan, with whom he later had 2 more children. Shanna began a new relationship with Mario Fernandez-Saldana, a man who would soon play a pivotal role in this case. Friends and relatives have testified that the months leading up to February 2022 were filled with conflict and suspicion. Custody exchanges were tense. text messages revealed arguments over child support payments and parenting choices. Behind the legal disputes, prosecutors allege bitterness grew into hatred. According to court records, Shanna Gardner expressed frustration to friends about Jared's new marriage and his role in the children's lives. Prosecutors now say those tensions and the arrival of Mario Fernandez-Saldana set the stage for a deadly conspiracy. Narrator: what began as the everyday struggles of a blended family was about to spiral into a plot of jealousy, money, and murder for hire. A plan investigators believe unfolded in the days before Jared's final drive. Wednesday evening, February 16th, 2022. 33-year-old Jared Bridegan had just finished a routine custody exchange with his 6-year-old twins. His 2-year-old daughter, the youngest of his 4 children, was secured in her car seat as he started the short drive back to his Jacksonville Beach home. The night was calm, traffic light. As Jared turned onto a quiet stretch of Sanctuary Boulevard, something unusual caught his headlights: a single tire lying squarely across the roadway. Neighbors later told police the road was normally clear at that hour. The tire was no accident. It was bait. Investigators believe Jared slowed, then stopped to move the obstruction. He stepped from his black Volkswagen Atlas, leaving his toddler safely inside. In that brief moment of vulnerability, an unseen assailant opened fire. Several shots rang out. Witnesses nearby heard the sharp cracks echo across the quiet neighborhood and called 911. By the time first responders arrived, the gunman was gone, vanished into the night without a trace, leaving only shell casings, a frightened child, and a devastated family. From the beginning, investigators knew this was no random shooting. The carefully placed tire, the calculated timing, and the precision of the attack pointed to a planned ambush. But who could orchestrate such a trap? And why target a father returning from a routine visit with his children? As the investigation unfolded, detectives would uncover a trail of phone calls, financial transactions, and personal relationships that pointed toward a chilling conspiracy, one rooted not in chance, but in the bitterness of a broken marriage. From the first hours after the ambush, detectives with the Jacksonville Beach Police Department knew this was more than a random act of violence. A carefully placed tire, a calculated attack, and a silent getaway pointed to a planned assassination. Crime scene technicians collected shell casings, tire impressions, and surveillance footage from nearby homes. They canvassed neighborhoods late into the night, looking for witnesses who had heard the shots or seen a suspicious vehicle. Early leads were scarce. No one saw the shooter. But investigators began piecing together fragments. A suspicious blue Ford F-150 captured on security cameras near the scene, and cell phone records revealing patterns of movement that matched the timeline of the murder. Detectives also dug into Jared's personal life. Their attention quickly turned to the tense custody battle with his ex-wife, Shanna Gardner, and her new husband, Mario Fernandez-Saldana. Friends told police about years of arguments, legal disputes, and bitter exchanges during child drop-offs. A breakthrough came in January 2023, nearly a year after the murder. Investigators linked the Ford F-150 to Henry Tennant, a 62-year-old man with ties to Fernandez-Saldana. Cell phone records and financial documents revealed a pattern of contact and payments between Tennant and Fernandez-Saldana in the weeks before the ambush. On January 25, 2023, police arrested Henry Tenen. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Tenen agreed to plead guilty to second-degree murder and cooperate with prosecutors. In exchange, he received a 15-year sentence. His testimony opened a new chapter in the case. Tenen told investigators that he was recruited by Mario Fernandez-Saldana to carry out the shooting, and that Shanna Gardner, Jared's ex-wife, was aware of the plan. Arrest warrants quickly followed. In March 2023, Fernandez-Saldana was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. By August 2023, Shanna Gardner was taken into custody in Washington State and extradited to Florida to face the same charges. Prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty for both. The pieces were finally coming together. A bitter custody dispute, a new marriage filled with resentment, and a hired gun who confessed to his role. Yet the case was far from over. Gardner and Fernandez-Saldana pleaded not guilty, setting the stage for a legal battle that will test every detail of the prosecution's evidence. By early 2023, a year of relentless investigation had paid off. The arrests of Henry Tenen, Mario Fernandez-Saldana, and eventually Shanna Gardner transformed a mystery into a high-profile prosecution that would grip Florida and the nation. First came Henry Tenen. Detectives confronted the 62-year-old with mountain evidence, cell phone records, surveillance footage, and financial transactions linking him to the ambush. Tenen chose to cooperate. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and agreed to testify against the others. In exchange, he received a 15-year sentence, a decision that would provide prosecutors with critical inside information. Tenen's testimony pointed directly to Mario Fernandez-Saldana, the new husband of Jared's ex-wife. In March 2023, law enforcement arrested Fernandez-Saldana on charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, and child abuse. Prosecutors described him as the organizer of the murder-for-hire plot. 5 months later, on August 17, 2023, the investigation reached its most dramatic turn. Authorities arrested Shanna Gardner, Jared's former wife, at her home in Washington State. She was extradited to Florida to face the same charges as Fernandez-Saldana, including first-degree murder. Prosecutors announced their intention to seek the death penalty for both defendants. In court filings, prosecutors laid out a chilling narrative: a bitter custody dispute, a new marriage, and an alleged plan to eliminate Jared Bridegan as an obstacle. Phone records, bank statements, and witness testimony, including Tenen's own admissions, form the backbone of the state's case. Both Gardner and Fernandez-Saldana have pleaded not guilty. Their defense attorneys argue that the evidence is circumstantial and that the prosecution is relying too heavily on the word of a confessed killer seeking a reduced sentence. As the legal process moves forward, the families of Jared Bridegan, Say Dixon, and Lieutenant Deborah Clayton watch closely, determined to see justice served. Trials are scheduled to continue into 2025, ensuring that the full story and the ultimate verdict are yet to be written. The arrests of Henry Tenen, Mario Fernandez-Saldana, and Shanna Gardner brought a measure of relief, but not closure. For Jared Bridegan's family, the path to justice is still unfolding. Trials for Gardner and Fernandez-Saldana are scheduled to continue into 2025. and prosecutors have announced they will seek the death penalty for both. Jared's widow, Jared Bridegan, has become a determined advocate for their children. She speaks publicly about the need for stronger protections in high-conflict custody cases and has worked to keep Jared's memory alive through community outreach and a charitable foundation. The case has also sparked a wider conversation about domestic disputes and escalating violence. Experts warn that jealousy, custody conflicts, and financial pressures can become dangerous when warning signs go unheeded. Organizations across Florida now use this tragedy to highlight the importance of early intervention and resources for families in conflict. Jared Bridegan was remembered as a loving father, a talented software engineer, and a man devoted to his children. His youngest daughter, the toddler who sat unharmed in the back seat that February night, will one day learn the full story of her father's courage, and the investigation that followed. The trials ahead will determine legal guilt, but they cannot undo the loss. This case stands as a reminder that beneath the surface of ordinary lives, jealousy and anger can ignite deadly conspiracies, and that vigilance, compassion, and early action remain the best defenses against tragedy. Thank you for watching this documentary on the killing of Jared Bridegan. If you found this coverage informative and believe these stories deserve to be told, please support the channel by clicking subscribe and turning on the notification bell. Your support helps us continue producing in-depth, respectful, true crime documentaries that shine a light on justice and awareness.